Well, tonight's reading gives us a tremendous hope for our faith. So as we just heard in our gospel, the Sadducees are out there trying to trap Jesus. Now, they don't believe in the resurrection, so they try to come up with this crazy example to try and prove that the resurrection isn't a thing. They have the example of, based in the law, when a man dies childless, that his brother would take on the role of producing an heir for him and marry his widow. And so they give this ridiculous example of one brother dying, another brother dying, all the way down to 7. Now, Jesus counters this in a couple of different ways, and the main one comes at the end. The very end of this lesson, Jesus goes all the way back to Torah, to Exodus, to the story of the burning bush. And he points out there that Moses, in addressing God, the title for God, being the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now, God is the creator of the entire world. God is a God of life, not a God of death. So by going by this title, by saying that he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, what's going on here is that Moses and God are saying that these people, the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, who are long dead at Moses' day, are in fact still alive. Because God is still the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. It isn't that God was the God of them. God is the God of them. So they're still alive. So our hope in the resurrection has really good founding all the way from the beginning of Scripture. And Jesus starts this argument with the Sadducees with another point that stems from that. And not only does Scripture give us the founding of the resurrection all the way at the beginning, but that also the resurrection isn't a life like we know it. Jesus' point is that their example is ridiculous, not because of what that means for the resurrection, but because it's ridiculous to say that we will be given in marriage and that we will be received in marriage in the way that we are now. Because the resurrected life isn't a life like we live in this world. It's a different life. We may not know exactly what that life entails, but we do know it will be different from this one. And thank goodness for that. The resurrection will be different from this life. Because all that is wrong, all that is evil that we see in this world, in this life, will no longer be. Because the resurrected life is a transformative life. Our very lives, our very beings are transformed into something new, into something more glorious than they are now. That's what we have to be thankful for. That we have the assurance of the resurrection and what Jesus tells us. Which is very good because that's the cornerstone of our faith. And in fact, the very name that our church bears. And we also have to be thankful that the resurrection means that everything that is wrong, that is bad in this life will pass away. The resurrected life will be a life of transformation and a life of glory. And for that we can say, thanks be to God.